Hello, and welcome to Vox Herald, your go-to podcast for the stories shaping Canada today. I'm your host, San Juan, and I'm thrilled to bring you news that matters to our communities, from coast to coast to coast. Today, we're diving into a critical issue for Vancouver Island and beyond water safety. With summer in full swing, Island Health is sounding the alarm after 23 fatal drownings were reported in the region last year. We'll explore why drownings are a persistent concern, what's being done to keep Canadians safe, and how this issue resonates across our diverse communities. So, grab your headphones and let's make waves safely together. Let's start with the numbers. According to preliminary data from the BC Coroners Service, Vancouver Island saw 23 fatal drownings in 2024. That's down from 32 the year before, but still above the 11-year average of 17. For every fatal drowning, Island Health reports about 3 non-fatal incidents, many of which result in life-altering brain or organ damage. These numbers hit hard, especially when you consider that 80% of these tragedies happen in natural bodies of water lakes, rivers, and oceans, places where British Columbians love to spend their summers. July and August are the peak months, with 63% of fatal drownings occurring between May and September, often on weekends when families and friends flock to the water dot. But these aren't just statistics, they're stories of loss that ripple through communities. Island Health's injury prevention lead, Neil Arison, put it starkly: non-fatal drownings can be life-altering. They can cause lasting damage to the brain and other organs. What's more, 27% of non-fatal drownings in the region involve alcohol or other substances, a sobering reminder of the risks of swimming while impaired. So, who's most at risk? Island Health points to several groups. Men, who make up the majority. OF drowning victims. People with medical conditions like seizures. Those with autism spectrum disorder, and newcomers to Canada who may not be familiar with local water conditions or have limited swimming skills. This last point is particularly resonant in a country as diverse as Canada, where immigration is a cornerstone of our identity. 4. Example: newcomers in coastal communities like Nanaimo or Victoria may encounter ocean currents or cold water shock for the first time, which can be disorienting and dangerous. Let's zoom out for a moment. Drowning is a national issue too. In 2022, Canada saw 308 accidental drowning deaths, with nearly half occurring in natural bodies of water. Children under 5 and adults over 65 are particularly vulnerable, and males account for about 79% of fatalities. These patterns hold true on Vancouver Island, where the rugged beauty of places like Tofino's beaches or Campbell River's lakes draws locals and tourists alike, but also poses unique risks. Now, let's talk solutions. Island Health is partnering with the Life-Saving Society of BC and Yukon to offer free Swim to Survive programs, targeting remote and underserved communities, including Indigenous ones. These programs teach essential skills to survive an unexpected, fall into deep water skills that could be life-saving for kids and adults alike. If you're in a place like Port Hardy or an Indigenous community like Ahusaf, keep an eye on your local municipality's website or email dirkp@lifesaving.bc.ca to find out when these sessions are happening. Beyond lessons, Island Health emphasizes practical steps: stay sober on the water, wear Transport Canada-approved Lifejackets, and keep young kids within arm's reach. For backyard pools, they recommend 4-sided fencing at least 4 feet high with self-closing gates and emptying. Kiddie pools after use. These measures aren't just for Vancouver Island, they're relevant across Canada, from the cottage country of Ontario to the river valleys of New Brunswick. Next week, the Strathcona Regional District is hosting a free water safety event at McKeever Lake near Campbell River from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on July 21st. You can join staff from the Strathcona Gardens Recreation Complex, Campbell River RCMP, and search and rescue for activities and swimming skill lessons. It's a great example of community-driven prevention, and they're even offering free shuttle rides from the recreation complex, though. You'll need to reserve a spot online. But here's where it gets deeper. Drowning isn't just a personal tragedy. It's a public health issue with social, cultural, and economic layers. Let's break it down. To understand why drownings remain a challenge, we need to look at the broader context. First, let's consider the data. The BC Coroners Service reports that in 2023, British Columbia saw 101 accidental drownings, with Vancouver Island leading the province at 32. Nationally, drowning is one of the leading causes of injury-related death for children, and the costs are staggering. In BC alone, drowning incidents cost $19 million in 2023, including $17 million in lost productivity and $1.9 million in healthcare expenses. These numbers don't just reflect medical bills. They represent disrupted lives, grieving families, and communities picking up the pieces. Now, let's talk about equity. Drowning disproportionately affects certain groups. For instance, Indigenous communities in BC, particularly in remote areas, face higher risks due to limited access to swimming facilities and lessons. The Swim to Survive program is a step toward addressing this, but it's not enough on its own. Historically, colonial policies restricted access to resources for many Indigenous communities, and today, geographic isolation and underfunded infrastructure can limit opportunities for water safety education. Newcomers to Canada also face unique challenges. Many arrive from regions where swimming isn't part of the culture or where access to pools is limited. In 2021, the World Health Organization noted that drowning rates are higher in low and middle-income countries where many of Canada's immigrants originate. Programs like Swim to Survive are critical, but they need to be culturally sensitive and available in multiple languages to reach diverse communities in places like Victoria or Comox. Then there's the role of alcohol. The BC Coroners Service found that between 2013 and 2022, 39% of drowning deaths in the province involved alcohol or drugs. This isn't just a Vancouver Island issue, it's a national one. In Canada, our culture of summer recreation often involves alcohol, whether it's a beer at a lakefront barbecue or a cocktail on a boat. Changing this behavior requires not just individual responsibility, but also public campaigns that resonate with young adults, who make up 20% of drowning victims. Economically, drownings have ripple effects. Tourism is a major driver for Vancouver Island, with coastal towns like Tofino and Ucluelet drawing thousands each summer. But drownings can deter visitors and strain local resources like search and rescue teams. On the flip side, investing in prevention like lifeguard training or public swim programs creates jobs and strengthens community resilience. Finally, let's consider regional nuances. Vancouver Island's rugged coastline and cold waters pose specific risks compared to, say, the calmer lakes of the Okanagan or the urban pools of Toronto. Ocean currents, like those off Long Beach, can catch even strong swimmers off guard. Island Health's advice to swim parallel to the shore, if caught in a current, is practical, but requires awareness that not everyone has. In contrast, urban centers like Vancouver or Montreal might focus more on pool safety, where fencing and supervision are key. To bring this home, I want to share a perspective from Linnea Grace, Executive Director of the Life-Saving Society of BC and Yukon. She said, "Drowning is preventable, and through strong community partnerships, we're making water safety education more accessible than ever." That's the spirit behind initiatives like the McKiver Lake event, where local organizations are coming together to teach water-smart skills. Also reached out to a member of the new Shaw Nulth community in Port Alberni, who emphasized the importance of teaching kids not just to swim, but to respect the water. For many indigenous coastal communities, the ocean is a source of life and culture, but it's also a place of caution. Programs like Swim to Survive need to honor these cultural connections while addressing practical safety needs. From a newcomer's perspective, imagine arriving in Campbell River from a landlocked country. The ocean's beauty is inviting, but its power can be overwhelming. Community-driven programs that offer free lessons in multiple languages can bridge that gap, ensuring everyone feels confident in the water. That's today's episode of Vox Herald. Water safety isn't just about rules. It's about protecting the moments that make summer special. From splashing at McKiver Lake to surfing in Tofino. Whether you're a parent, a newcomer, or a weekend adventurer, let's commit to staying safe. Learn to swim, wear a life jacket, and keep alcohol out of the water. What's your community doing to promote water safety? Share your thoughts on X at Vox Herald. Until next time, stay informed, stay safe, and let's keep making memories. By the water together.